Okay, you are watching a Five&Co post roundtable interview with Oliver Backhouse, VP for Strategic Partnerships and R&D at AstraZeneca. Oliver, welcome and thank you for sharing your insights during our roundtable discussions today on reimagining healthcare as part of our series on recalibrating leadership in a hybrid world. First of all, thank you for your contributions, and it'd be really good to hear your reflections on the roundtable and what ideas or challenges stood out best for you.
Well, thanks, Tim. I must say I'm still buzzing after the meeting. It was incredibly energizing. I think for an individual contributor like me with this enormous goal, it's fantastic to meet people who and interact with people who kind of get the mission, get the big picture, and it was very, very engaged. There was some really on the money questions and challenging questions as well. I think about farmers' role, about enterprise leadership, what it consists of, and how people can sort of contribute to these very large sort of big picture sort of moonshot ideas. So incredibly energizing, and I'm really grateful for having had the opportunity.
And talking of energizing, would you mind just sharing a few words on who it was that inspired you or directed you in this idea of transforming healthcare?
Well, yes, Tim, and it was with a lot of sadness that I introduced him, and it was Jose Baselga, Dr. Jose Baselga, who was our head of oncology R&D, AstraZeneca's head of oncology R&D, and also one of the world's leading medical researchers in oncology. He'd spent a lot of his career at MSK, one of the top centers in the world, it was in the days we were in the office, which seemed like forever ago, but was actually not much more than a year ago. He just sort of came to me in the office and said, hey, sort of grabbed me, and our chief digital officer got me in a room and said, hey, listen, I've got a challenge for you. How do you fancy reimagining healthcare? And I said, sure, why not? Let's give it a go. And then, we talked through what that would look like. But I mean, it was just an unbelievable opportunity to try to do this. So it was Jose and his incredible vision and passion and care for cancer, for oncology, and a lifetime caring about patients and improving patient care.
That's really helpful. Thank you. And of course, whenever one takes on the big challenges, having that personal vision or calling is often very important. As is context, so at Five&Co, when we talk to leaders about how they're transforming their organizations or their teams, they often tell us about a local, national, or global context. What's the context that's framed your work? What is the big picture idea that's framing your work?
Well, Tim, it is all of those, I have to say. I mean, it's at the very big picture end. The first project that we're working on is how to cure cancer, which globally really, and eliminate cancer as a cause of death. So that's the big picture goal, and I suppose what we've tried to do is sort of break it down into a very first step. And probably I don't know, the audience may well know one of the key sort of initiatives or most promising directions at the moment is much earlier detection, much earlier detection of cancer. But the question is, if cancer is then detected much earlier, what then is the optimal treatment? So it's the combination of early detection, early treatment, and then potentially digital interventions, digital solutions as well, which in aggregate can lead towards a cure. So that's unbelievably exciting, but the potential really is here now. It's not some kind of future vision that's the various parts are mature and are here now.
And just building on that idea of digital, whenever you look up transformation in any industry, we hear of the term artificial intelligence quite a lot. What's your take on that? And do you think we're done with emotional intelligence and human intelligence?
Well, some may say that I've been done with that for a long time, but No, I think, Tim. Look, there's no question that we're in the midst of an unbelievable revolution. I mean, people talk about it as the fourth industrial revolution, global revolution. I mean, I have no doubt, and with artificial intelligence, machine learning, digital sort of data fueling that. So I have no doubt about that. I suppose the challenge that I have in my role is there's a lot of other people working on that. So if I look just across my organization, they number in the thousands, probably the tens of thousands. So, the question is, what can I really add to that? So what I've tried to do in my role is carve out some genuine white space that no one else in the company is working on, and frankly, no one else in the industry or even beyond the industry is working on. And it's not so easy to do that, to identify this white space. But what I've done is that, and I suppose it comes back to a core asset of a pharmaceutical company, and that is therapeutics. So while there's a lot happening in AI, and there's a lot happening in data, there's a lot happening in digital, an enormous number of people working on that in the industry, outside the industry, and startups. Actually, there's still a good amount of life left in old-fashioned, I mean, it sounds strange, but old-fashioned therapeutics, old-fashioned drugs, and there's a lot more that we can sort of get out of those. So I think that's my overall perspective on AI. No doubt it's transformational, and it's happening now. But there's, in terms of white space for me and for my work, there's a lot of life left in therapeutics yet.
That's really helpful. And just building on that idea, finding the white space, are there any other things that you have found really helpful to gain a new perspective on these big sticky challenges? Is there a tip you would give to other leaders looking to find new perspectives?
Well, Tim, I would only sort of share really the idea that I mentioned before, which was, I have to say, this wasn't in my mind before that apocryphal day when I ran into Jose, as I say, and our chief digital officer. I think it's very easy, especially in big organizations, to become very siloed, sort of head down, not really sort of pay attention to the bigger picture. But there really is a value in looking more broadly, looking outside your function. I know Five&Co talks about functional leadership versus enterprise leadership. So really trying to be an enterprise leader, look more broadly, and kind of, sort of join the dots. So I would say, look out for these kinds of people, look out for these visionaries. Sometimes it takes expertise too, to identify, what these opportunities are. So I'd say, so a combination of sort of expertise and mindset, look out for these people, surround yourself with these people, try and draw inspiration and insight from them.
So for us at Five&Co, enterprise leadership is a really big theme for us. We're really focusing on that in the year ahead. And one of the things that we think serves enterprise leaders very, very well is a great sense of self-awareness, of generosity and humility. In terms of your career, you've had some really challenging roles and a really diverse set of experiences. Well, what have you learned about yourself as a leader that you would offer as advice to other leaders wanting to follow your footsteps?
I think that's a really good point, Tim, about humility and generosity. I've sometimes found, I have to say, a challenge between my own personal values and working in a big corporate. Historically, I've also worked in the public sector, so I worked for the government, where sometimes maybe the values fit was sometimes a bit closer, but sometimes the organizational challenges were not such a good fit. So I've tried to find a place within the sort of business industry. I've tried to find a place where I can express these values, and I think these values of generosity, wanting to make a difference, humility, but at the same time be in an organization where there's enough scale to actually make a difference, to put something into practice and change something. So yeah, that's the only sort of small advice I guess I can lend, which is try and find your space, try and find your space wherever that may be. Could be public sector, could be private, could be partnerships, could be, who knows, who knows, in a startup. So yeah, follow your values, follow your ambition, your mission, and see if you can identify that place.
That's really helpful and really encouraging as well. Our time is short. Oliver Backhouse, can I just say a big thank you for your time at our roundtable event today, and also for this interview. Oliver Backhouse, VP for Strategic Partnerships and R&D at AstraZeneca. Thank you very much.